It is too hot to cook, and I am not turning on my stove or oven. Here are 3 recipes that I make when I've turned into a puddle of sweat. Let's start with a classic Italian summer dish.
I find it easiest to cut my melon lengthwise, but if your melon is more round than mine, that would be from stem to root. I find this the best way to cut your melon so that you get the easiest access to scooping out your seeds. Using a spoon, scoop out the seeds, leaving as much flesh intact as possible. Make sure to get every last seed. Now that it's cut in half and all the seeds are removed, turn it so that it's flesh side down on your cutting board. Then cut it into segments. For this size melon, I like to try and get 6 segments out of each half. But you could make your segments thicker or thinner if you like. Make sure that the larger part of your melon is on the cutting board before slicing through. You don't want your melon to slip and slide around because you already have a slice underneath. You may find it easier to remove the skin and the pith with a smaller knife. Start at the top edge where the white pith meets the flesh. Then just guide the knife around the melon, being careful not to lose too much flesh. Follow it all the way through to the other end and your melon wedge is ready.
And now for my favorite part, wrapping them in prosciutto. I prefer using a more firm melon for this. Not something watery like a watermelon, but more like a cantaloupe or a honeydew. You want something with a firmer texture that isn't going to get all watery around your prosciutto. So I tend to start overlapping the top bit and then folding it underneath and then back over again. And then one more time underneath and allow the prosciutto to stick to itself. They don't have to be perfect or pretty, but try and get as much prosciutto covering the melon as you can. The prosciutto tends to stick to itself, so if you need to, just allow it to overlap. I like cutting my melons into long strips because I think it looks really pretty and it's just much easier to just eat one whole piece rather than having to wrap each one individually. But if you're serving this to multiple people or at a dinner party or a barbecue, you could absolutely cut this into small cubes and wrap a small piece of prosciutto around each one. Pop a skewer in each, and you could even add a small piece of mozzarella and a nice drizzle of a balsamic glaze, and that would be next level. This cool snack is perfect for hot days because it also boosts your electrolytes. I like to start by softening up my cream cheese. I'm using a spreadable cream cheese from a tub, so it's already pretty soft, but I've just given it a little mix so it's nice and loose. If you're using a block of cream cheese, either leave it out to come to room temperature before you whip it up, or add a tiny little bit of milk just to thin it out. It just makes it easier to spread. I've used just a plain old cream cheese for this recipe, but you could add in seasonings or spices if you wanted to up the flavor. Lay a slice of deli ham on your work surface. You can use ham, roast beef, chicken, any sliced deli meat will work. Spread about a tablespoon of your cream cheese over top of your ham. I'm leaving a little gap at this edge so that when I roll it up, the cream cheese doesn't all squeeze out the end. Pop your pickles onto the opposite edge where you've spread your cream cheese. Then just roll it up. This can get a little bit messy and be a bit tricky, so just be careful with it, take your time, and just roll all the way to the edge. I've made a mental note that my pickles end right here, so that's where one of my cuts will be. And then so that I get nice, clean, pickly edges, I'm going to just slice off the tops and the bottoms of each pickle. I'm using a standard pickle for this recipe, but I especially love this with pickled asparagus or pickled beans. If you need to add 1 or 2 extra asparagus or beans to the roll to thicken them out, that's okay. Any pickled vegetable will work. And let's cut that piece in half. And there's your little pickle roll. It's like charcuterie sushi. This makes the perfect quick lunch or snack. And because the pickled vegetable is full of electrolytes, it's going to keep you hydrated on a hot day. This is one of my family's favorite recipes to cool down in the heat.
I'm using tuna stored in olive oil because that's my favorite, but use whatever tuna you like or have on hand. I'm going to drain these off because I don't want all of that oil in my salad. I find 2 160-gram tins is perfect for 3 to 4 people. 2 tins works out to about 200 grams of tuna once it's been drained.
If you don't want to use tuna, you can leave it out completely, but another great protein alternative for this recipe is a can of beans. My favorite are cannellini.
Slice a medium purple or red onion into crescents. Cut the onion from root to tip and then remove the tip, leaving the root intact. This will help you slice it more easily. Peel off the top layer of the onion. it usually has a bit of a papery skin. I would typically use half an onion for this recipe, but my family really loves onion, so I'm slicing up the whole thing. Then just cut slices down the onion, holding the root with your fingertips to keep it intact. I find onion can be quite a strong flavor, so I like to soak mine in some cold water for about 10 minutes. This helps to remove the sting. Now for our cucumber. Cut off the ends of the cucumber. And this may be an old wives' tale, but one of my Italian cousins told me to rub the end of the cucumber with the cut piece to remove any of the foamy bits. This is supposed to remove the bitterness from the ends in the skin. Now give it a rinse. I'm going to remove some, but not all of the skin of my cucumber. This is personal preference, but I really like the differentiation of color when it's in the salad. Slice your cucumber lengthwise and then cut it into crescents. Pop those into your bowl. I'm using 2 large tomatoes for 3 to 4 people, but if you like yours extra tomatoey, add another one in. Remove the stem from your tomato. Then cut it in half from top to bottom. Slice it in half lengthwise down the middle. Now cut each of those segments down into smaller triangles. You want to keep these bites roughly the same size as your cucumber. This is always so perfect with fresh summer tomatoes right out of the garden. Pop those into your bowl. Add the drained tuna to your bowl. Drain your onions and give them another rinse, and then dry them off with some kitchen towel. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too much onion.
I've removed about half of the onion, so I'm only using half in total, and I've rinsed off the onion of any tuna juices, popped them in my fridge, and I'll use them for another recipe.
Now for the dressing. Add in about 2/3 a cup, 150 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil. You could use some of the oil from the tuna, but I prefer the freshness and fruitiness of an extra virgin olive oil. Then add in 1/3 of a cup, around 80 milliliters of red wine vinegar. You could also use balsamic vinegar, but cut down on the amount as it can be quite strong. Then add in a tablespoon, about 4 grams of dried oregano, and a few really good pinches of salt. You may want to adjust the salt once you've tasted it. You could also add in some black pepper if you like. Give that a really good mix and then give it a taste to adjust the seasonings. If you need more oil, vinegar, salt, go ahead and add those now.
I can remember every Saturday at lunchtime, my dad whipping up the salad and we'd all sit down together to eat it. It's now become a daily ritual in my family, and we all fight at dipping our bread in the juice at the bottom.
This salad is such a celebration of summer, and it really just brings joy every time I eat it.
If the temperatures have dropped slightly and you're willing to turn on your oven, why not try one of my 4 amazing zucchini recipes? If you found this video helpful, please head down below, hit the like button or the hype button, and let me know, what do you make when it's too hot to cook? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.